So good to have you here on Impact FinTech 2017. Thank you for being our guest. I'd like to start from asking you about the revolution. What's the direction of the revolution, of the FinTech revolution in modern world? From east to west, from north to south, or maybe some other direction?
Well, some of the technologies that were developed in the West, but they're being employed and actually used in the East right now. And what we can see is that the East is actually leading this revolution. And everything comes together, everything from cryptocurrencies, blockchain, AI, all the buzzwords that are there for several years, they're all coming together in realization in the East. And the next thing that we can see is scoring a person from different aspects of its life. The financial, the moods, the biological information, the health, everything is going to have some kind of a percentage or a point something, a number that you can assign to a person, and then some company is going to decide what to give you.
That's a very brave statement. How do you mean by saying East? You mean East like Russia, or is like Asia, like Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, etc.?
China, Korea, India, Southeast Asia.
Why do you think that the changes are coming from that direction, although they were invented and developed in the Western world?
Because that's where the most internet population is, that's where the most mobile population is, that's where half of the world right now, digital world, lives. And they're young, and they're employing, and they do not have legacy. They do not have old infrastructure, legacy, old banks or something. They have nothing at the best, or some kind of e-wallet systems, and they have smartphones right from their birth, I would say, and they came to this kind of world, to this digital era already. And they do not know anything that happened before. Your
company is very popular and successful in Russia, but if you had to start your business once again from scratch, and you could pick any place in the world, what place it would be?
Interesting question. That would be, I could still do Russia. I could still do Eastern Europe, and it could be Asia, it doesn't matter. Actually, one of the good statements is that when the company is born in a large country, in a country that has several millions, hundreds of millions population, you can focus on local market and develop local products. But when your country is small, you have to make global product. So I think we would start from the global product initially and do something, develop a product that could be employed anywhere regardless, just because it's so good.
In that case, Singapore is the best option. Very, very small market, so you have to go immediately global.
So many companies are registered in Singapore.
But on contrary to that, we have Indonesia, for example, with population almost 300 million people. In, I think, 17,000 places all over the Asia. So is this one of the places like Jakarta where you would consider to start a business?
We are considering starting business in Indonesia, just like any other companies are doing. Southeast Asia.
But the wealthiness of these people is below average.
Just right now. I mean, what's going to happen in 10 years, what's going to happen in 50 years? When you think about longer than 3 years period, you understand that when it's so much population, so many people, that's what matters. It's not about income, how much income they have right now, it's about how much people, because
so the scale more than income.
It's the scale. It's the scale. The thing is about the scale, and that's why effective business models, social networks, they base everything on the scale. They do not even monetize at first. When you have the scale, you can then learn to monetize.
Do you call traditional banks dinosaurs?
Yeah.
They're about to extinct?
Maybe not. It depends on behavior. It depends on how people are getting used to something. But more or less, when younger generation comes and when kids that are now 8 years old are going to grow up, maybe they're not going to go to banks. Maybe they're going to store funds at internet companies or the apps that they're going to use or somewhere else, maybe not the banks. And definitely even just my generation right now is using digital banks. In Russia, we have digital banks. We do not need to go to any. In Poland, you have digital banks. So the banks already transforming into something digital. So maybe if they transform to a point where they become internet companies, and what internet companies do, then they exist. And it's all about where people are going to store funds, where money is going to be at. They can be directly at the internet company, or they can be at the bank that they trust, not necessarily using all the traditional functions.
How would you define interaction among fintechs and banks? Enemies, friends, frenemies, something else?
I think that fintech is actually helping banks, and so many industries, so many fintech startups are designed to help banks and hold banks as clients, to service them. So I don't think it's enemies. It's more about kind of helping and making ecosystem, making your life, your personal life better. So I don't think necessarily that we're enemies, and as other markets show, banks can also invest and help create more startup culture. Not if they cannot do that themselves, they can help and invest in technologies that are going to help them eventually.
Final question about security and personal data. For example, from your market, we had an issue of Kaspersky incident and many other accusations against lots of Russian providers and companies operating worldwide. How would you define security? Because sometimes we try to measure what's more important, security than interface that is friendly for users. Of course, the security is more important, but how to provide it and how to prove that this solution is really secured and my personal data will be secured?
I don't think there is a way. I think it's all about trust in your own belief. So it's mostly about marketing and marketing the belief of the brand. You believe the brand, you believe that this name is so secure, and any technology can be broken. Any technology anywhere can be broken. But there is actually no ultimate security in the world. So if tomorrow something happens and meteorite goes on Apple servers or Google servers, that's it. I mean, there is no final security. And it's only if you believe that this bank is secure or this company is secure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.